The 2026 free agent class is absolutely loaded. Specifically on the starting pitching side, it's insane how many good starting pitchers will be available. And even on the hitting side, there are a ton of star players, as well as a bunch of other hitters that have chances to get paid based on how well they'll play this next season. So in today's video, I'm going to go through who I think are the most interesting, intriguing, and best free agents of the 2026 class, and explain to you why it's so absolutely loaded. The catcher position is a little bit thin, but it's thin in general in Major League Baseball. JT Realmuto, though, will be a free agent in 2026. Now, he will be 34 years old. He hasn't been the same JT Realmuto that we've seen in his prime, but he is still one of the top catchers in the game. Defensively, he is still phenomenal, and at the plate, he still has enough in that bat to be an impact for a team. Now, the Phillies very well could bring him back at the end of the season, give him a bit of a short-term contract extension, and make sure that he stays in Philadelphia, maybe for the rest of his career. But I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like JT Realmuto tries to go get paid one more time. This is definitely the last time he has the opportunity to get paid. Again, he's going to be 34, 35 years old. For a guy who's been one of the top catchers in baseball for the last 7-8 years, it is intriguing that he will be the best catcher available without a doubt, because a guy like Salvador Perez is just not going to be a free agent, and the rest of the class is just kind of weak. So Realmuto stands alone. Now at first base, here's where we have one of the mega superstars. Of course, you know Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to be a free agent at the end of the 2025 season. Vlad Guerrero Jr. has a chance to be a $500 million player. If he plays like he did in 2024, this upcoming season, he is going to get absolutely paid. He's hitting free agency at the same age, or roughly the same age, as Juan Soto this past offseason. And while Juan Soto is the better player, Vlad Jr. offensively is worse, but not that much worse, especially what we saw last year. If he can really improve the power even more, he hits for a high average, he gets on base, if he can play any sort of defense at all, this is going to be a $500 million player. The Blue Jays got to cough up a chunk of change here, because it looks like Vladdy's going to the free agent market, maybe even traded by the deadline. Who knows what the Blue Jays do? But he is one of the premier free agents available, and it's very rare, not too often, where you're going to have a 26, 27-year-old player in his prime who's one of the best hitters in the league available on the free market. Love it as a Mets fan. Speaking of which, Pete Alonso also has the opportunity to be a free agent again in the 2026 offseason. That being said, I don't know if it would be the best idea for him. Of course, he has the opt-out after this year. He's getting paid $30 million, and then it'll be $24 million in 2026, which is completely fair, by the way. But for a guy like Pete Alonso, do you want to compete with Vlad Guerrero Jr., who might be the clear and obvious best first baseman in all of Major League Baseball? We know you've got more power in terms of home runs than Vlad Jr., but he is without a doubt a better player. So do you want to go into an offseason again where you're not the first, second, or maybe even third option as one of the best players available on the offensive market? A guy like Pete Alonso, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. I think his performance will have a lot to do with it, but even still, it might not be the best decision to hit free agency after the 2025 season for Pete. Two other names I want to mention: Josh Naylor of the Arizona Diamondbacks, which still feels kind of weird to say. Really underrated player, very good first baseman. If he has a monster year, he'll be another one of these guys who could look to get paid this offseason being 2026, of course. And Luis Ariz, who's going to be one of the more interesting free agents to watch in 2026. There are people who are very split on Luis Ariz. He's either the next coming of Tony Gwynn, or you're me, where you go, he's a good baseball player, he's overrated, he's not Tony Gwynn. What does a player like Luis Ariz get on the open market? I'm not sure. We haven't seen players like this in a very, very long time hit free agency. Sometimes they get overpaid, sometimes they have zero value. A guy like Luis Ariz, who has pretty much no defensive value and is horrible on the base paths, it's going to be weird to find a contract for a guy like him, because without a doubt, he is a valuable player. He makes your team better. I'm not going to be on the side of saying Luis Ariz is bad, but he is a singles hitter, and I don't know how much he would want. I don't know how much teams will want to pay. I don't know what a contract could look like for a guy like Luis Ariz. Moving over to second base, there's pretty much nobody like Brandon Lau, but he has a club option, and I expect the Rays are going to pick it up because it's pretty cheap. And Ozzy Albies, there's no shot. Again, it's one of the worst contracts ever signed by a player in baseball history. Him and Ronald Acuna Jr. just really completely shit the bed on this. But theoretically, he could be a free agent if the Braves don't pick up his option. But they're, of course, going to pick it up because he's in his prime and he's free. Third base, the guys that are currently in the major leagues are not too exciting. Like, the best one that's guaranteed to hit free agency is going to be Eugenio Suarez. Suarez will be going into his 34, 35-year-old season in 2026. The defense is always a little bit up and down with him, but the power is always legit. Depending on what happens in 2025, I think Eugenio Eugenio Suarez could find himself on a short-term deal, getting paid a pretty high AAV if he balls out like he has in the past. Max Muncy technically could become a free agent, but he has a $10 million team option. Like, what the fuck? That deal is so ridiculously good. The Dodgers are clearly going to pick that up. But the most intriguing free agent at the third base position during the 2026 offseason is going to be Munetaka Murakami. Now, you might remember Munetaka Murakami from the World Baseball Classic in 2024, where he was a part of Team Japan that won it all. He is due to come over in 2026. He will be 26 years old going into the 2026 season, and he's simply one of the best players in Japan. In 2022, he hit 56 home runs in the Japanese league. He hit 31 in 2023, 33 in 2024. He has great plate discipline. He has a lot of pop in that bat, and he's very young and has the ability to be an impact back for a team immediately. It's hard to find those on the free agent market. He's not going to get paid Vlad Jr. money. I don't think he's even going to get Yoshinobu Yamamoto money necessarily, but this is a guy who could definitely be huge for a team that picks him up. I'm interested to see where he goes because every Japanese player goes to the Dodgers. They don't have any room for him. Is he going to be a New York Yankee? Does he go somewhere else? Really interested to see not only what does Munetaka Murakami do in the NPB this upcoming season, because that will make a huge impact too. Like a bad year, all of a sudden you look differently at him. But if he goes off, what is the bidding going to look like for a player like him? Rounding out the infield, of course, we have the shortstop position. Ha-Sung Kim has an opt-out with the Rays. Depends how well he plays, but if he plays like he did back in 2022, 2023 with the Padres, I think there's a chance he could get paid a pretty good amount of money. And then there's Bo Bichette, who will definitely be a free agent in 2026. He had a nightmare 2024 season. He dealt with injury, and when he played, he simply wasn't good. But that's the only time we've seen Bo Bichette not be a well above average hitter at the plate for the shortstop position. The guy is normally 120 to 130 OPS plus every single year. He can hit 25 to 30 home runs. He's a bit of a singles merchant, but that's fine. It doesn't matter because he hits the ball hard, he puts it in play, and while defensive metrics are kind of all over the place with Bo Bichette, he's way too athletic and talented to be a bad shortstop. If he has a huge year for Toronto, he's definitely the guy that they're not going to give the most attention to because, of course, Vlad Jr., but he's someone that a lot of teams will be knocking on the door of because he has talent that can make him a top player in Major League Baseball. We're just waiting to see him get to that next level, which he just hasn't reached yet. Now, here's where we get crazy is when we move to the outfield position. You've got Kyle Tucker, who's going to be a free agent. The Cubs are not going to be pursuing an extension during the season, it seems like, and Kyle Tucker is just simply one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Last year, he dealt with injury, but before that, he was on pace to give Aaron Judge a run for the MVP in the American League. His numbers were disgustingly good. And with a big year in Chicago on a team that's looking to make a run, looking to make some noise finally, if he's the reason why he leads the Cubs to some success next year, he is going to get paid because the guy is an absolute beast at the plate, and if he's going to bring winning to Chicago, people are going to take note of that. So Kyle Tucker is going to be a free agent, and he'll be turning 29 for the 2026 season, so he's very much in his prime. He's another guy who's going to get paid probably close to $400-500 million because he's that good. Kyle Schwarber is also a free agent. That's a huge bat. Like, Kyle Schwarber is a DH, and I don't know why I listed him in outfield. I guess MLB.com technically had him there when I was looking at this list, but Kyle Schwarber is going to be a free agent. That guy will continue to mash until you physically take the bat out of his hands. The swing is amazing. The plate discipline's incredible. All he loves to do is hit home runs. Does he want to stay in Philly? I actually truly have no idea, but I think there are going to be other teams that are going to be willing to pay Kyle Schwarber a competitive rate because the bat plays that well, and he is so valuable to your lineup and offense. Some of the other players that we know are guaranteed to become free agents. Cedric Mullins will hit the free agent market. He had some highs. He's had some lows. We have to see what he does in 2025. Michael Conforto looking for a bounce back year with the Dodgers. I honestly think he's going to pop off there. That could get him a pretty nice deal. Mike Yastrzemski, kind of criminally underrated player. Pretty good. I don't think he's going to get a massive contract, but I think he could help a lot of teams. And Lane Thomas, who, if he has a good year with the Cleveland Guardians, I think has a chance to get paid a decent amount. Not one of these crazy contracts, but Lane Thomas is a really talented player. He's just had a couple weird up and downs. Now, for guys that won't be guaranteed to be free agents, I think Luis Robert is by far the most intriguing. He has a club option. It's dirt cheap. There's no way that the White Sox decline that because it's just so cheap. And we've seen when he's motivated and healthy and playing every single day, he has the opportunity to be a top 25 player in the league. Tyler O'Neill has an opt-out. I think if he pops off, you can expect him to opt out. Just go get your money, Tyler O'Neill. He had an amazing year in Boston. People probably want to just see one more year. And then Cody Bellinger is the sneaky guy to keep an eye out for. Now, Bellinger will be hitting the free agent market if he opts out at age 30, but being on the Yankees, a lot of spotlight on him. He's going to be hitting behind Aaron Judge most likely, or even in front of him. He's got Aaron Judge for protection regardless. Cody Bellinger has the chance to absolutely go off with the Yankees. His swing fits perfectly in Yankee Stadium. It feels like a really nice fit. It was kind of weird last year in Chicago. I think the Yankees, it's really going to help him. And if he puts up numbers that we've seen him do before, Cody Bellinger is going to be getting paid, especially if he continues to play good outfield defense like he has in the past. And rounding rounding out the offensive options, we have DH. I mentioned Kyle Schwarber already. We have Jock Peterson, who has an opt-out. Depends what kind of season he has, but Jock mashes every year, so why wouldn't he opt out and then get another good deal? And then Marcell Ozuna. Now, of course, off the field, you can say what you want about him. It's not great. But on the field, he's absolutely mashed. So watching his free agency will be particularly interesting because do teams want what could be a bit of a PR problem on their roster, knowing how good he is at the plate? Like when Marcell Ozuna doesn't play well, you can't pay him and you can't deal with the off-the-field stuff, and the off-the-field stuff's deplorable. But clearly the Braves have pushed that aside. They don't seem to really care that much. On the field, the guy absolutely rakes, and teams will play him if he plays that well. They will look past it. It's the unfortunate truth. Now, here's where it gets absolutely crazy. The starting pitching. This is one of the best free agent starting pitching classes we have seen in a very long time. You get started off with a banger. Dylan Cease, one of the best pitchers in baseball. We'll see what he does in 2025, but if he was anything like he was in 2024, he's going to get paid big time. And he's young, and he's disgusting. Zach Gallen, a former top Cy Young Award finisher. He struggled a bit in 2024. Maybe there were some injuries, but this is a guy who's been a top pitcher in the game before. He's a free agent. Framber Valdez, one of the most underrated pitchers in the game. Big game pitcher. Pitches a ton of innings every single year. The stuff's gotten even better. He's amazing. Seth Lugo has a player option. If Seth Lugo balls out again, he might take that player option and say, smell you later, Kansas City. I'm going to free agency. It's a little bit more risky because he's older, but if he pitched like he did last year, someone's going to pay him more money. Jack Flaherty has an opt-out, so another guy who pitches well. Jordan Montgomery, I think, should have a bounce-back season. We're just going to mention his name. Shane Bieber has a player option. Shota Imanaga has an interesting club/player option. I don't think that he's going to hit free agency, but theoretically he could. Brandon Woodruff, mutual option. If he balls out like he has in the past, he is 100% hitting free agency, and I'd love to bring him to the New York Mets and back with David Stearns. But truthfully, Brandon Woodruff, I think we've kind of forgotten because he's hurt all the time, but when he's healthy, the guy's disgustingly dominant. And then there are a ton of middle rotation starters that could really take your team from being good to really great. Zach Eflin, Ranger Suarez, Chris Bassett, Merrill Kelly, Walker Buehler, Freddie Peralta as a club option. Don't think they're going to decline that, but still. And a guy like Lucas Giolito, maybe he bounces back with the Red Sox at some point this season, could help out this team. This starting pitching market is loaded, and those are just of guys right now. There's going to be a couple players, I'm sure, that pop off this year that are going to be free agents next season that I haven't even thought of. But the names at the top right here with Dylan Cease, Zach Gallen, Framber Valdez, that is a disgusting 3 starting pitchers right now that could be on the market. And finishing up this video and the positions, we have the relief pitcher market. Edwin Diaz technically has an opt-out. He's not going to do it. But then some of the other relievers, Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, 2 of maybe the 5 best relievers in Major League Baseball right now will be available. They'll be impact arms. Kirby Yates will be available. Again, Andres Munoz has a club option, and it's a club option for only $6 million, so the Mariners are probably going to pick that up. The guy is absolutely disgusting. Raisel Iglesias is finally a free agent. Aroldis Chapman's a free agent again. Robert Suarez has an opt-out. Ryan Presley, Luke Weaver, Michael Kopech could be a very fun player to watch. The Dodgers got him last year, fixed him. He was untouchable. If he does that again, he's going to be one of the top paid relievers. Maybe you try and make him a starting pitcher again. Crazier things have happened. You got Pete Fairbanks. You got the Rogers brothers. There are a ton more relievers that I haven't named, but the pitching market in general for the 2026 free agent class is absolutely loaded. And with hitters like Vlad Guerrero Jr., Kyle Tucker, Murakami, Bo Bichette leading the offensive pack here, this has the chance to be one of the better overall free agent classes that we've seen in a while. It's absolutely loaded, and maybe a little bit of insight too as to maybe why some teams just didn't push the chips all in this year when there were a couple big guys, not as many impact players. I'd love to know what you guys think about the 2026 free agent class down in the comment section below. Do you think it's loaded, or am I freaking out a little bit? Also, I'm going to be replying to comments for the first 10 minutes, so get down there. Let's interact a little bit. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the amazing content I'm giving you. I mean, this is the best. How do you not like this? Follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in description, and that's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you all on the next video. Bye.